Welcome to the Portland Eco Film Festival's Global Ecological Cinema podcast, where we share in-depth conversations about fascinating intersections of ecology, cinema, and filmmaking. Embracing the root definition of ecology, we explore what it means for humanity to have, hold, and transmit knowledge of planet Earth as our shared home through the power of cinema from around the living world.
سوريا لينا وما هي لبيت الأسد سوريا لينا وما هي لبيت الأسد
عاشت سوريا ويسقط بشار الأسد عاشت سوريا ويسقط بشار الأسد
الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام
Damascus, Syria, 2015. Residents of the Basateen al-Razi neighborhood, home to some of the oldest orchards in the world, are informed that the area has been targeted for redevelopment. Many residents are given less than 2 months to leave their homes, and most of them will never receive compensation. The homes are destroyed, and so are the ancient orchards. The stated reason for the mass displacement is the construction of Marota City, a shiny new urban development project scheduled to contain luxury homes, skyscrapers, and commercial centers. But according to my guest today, and many others, an underlying reason for the displacement was revenge. During the Syrian revolution, the beloved trees, once treasured for fruit and shade, provided tactical cover, making Basateen al-Razi a center of strong resistance to the now former dictator Bashar al-Assad. I spoke with Antoine Chapon, a French filmmaker who collaborated with former residents of Basateen al-Razi to share their memories and perspectives and to reimagine the future of the land they once called home. Al-Basateen, The Orchards, is an official selection in our 2026 festival.
جنة 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 والله يا وطننا يا وطن يا حبيب يا ابو تراب الطيب حتى نارك جنة حتى نارك جنة 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 والله يا وطننا.
Antoine, in your film, you perform a sort of digital reforestation by inserting the memories of your witnesses, the former residents of Basateen al-Razi, into sterile CGI models of Marota City. This cinematic hijacking of 3D architectural imagery seemed to me like a way to prevent a memory extinction, which usually follows the physical destruction of a landscape or community. Why use 3D animation and CGI in this way?
I was always interested with how to use the 3D animation, CGI or VFX technologies to struggle against what happened. I mean, not just in Syria, even in France, everywhere in China. We thought maybe it could be interesting to rebuild the house before they destroyed, they razed. But we thought politically it's more interesting to show that we can do something with those images. Because those images, they are very arrogant, violent, because, you know, if you're Syrian, you left the country, if we don't care where you are, and you open YouTube or even Google Maps and you check where you used to live and you see it's raised, or you see a lot of very beautiful and fancy 3D animations. And so as a director, as a filmmaker, the question was, many Syrians did a lot of film about Syria, but I'm not Syrian. So what we can do. So the idea was, okay, maybe we can use 3D animations to hijack, to rebuild the images of the power. And I think it's very interesting because it's important. It's important for them. They say it's important for them because it means it's something is possible. Of course, we can't go there again. Now they can, because the last day of the sound editing, Bashar al-Assad left in Russia. And so the idea was that, maybe it could be interesting to use CGI, VFX politically.
I'd like to know more about the trees. The ancient orchards provided both fruit and a tactical refuge for the resistance, while the new so-called smart city uses palm trees as cold aesthetic data points. Will you talk about the difference between the active ecology of Basateen al-Razi, where trees were partners in human survival, and the decorative desolation of Marota City, the project used to mask the destruction of the community for profit and revenge?
In Basateen al-Razi, so it was many huge orchards, and they needed to eat the fruits, to eat the vegetables. So they was very important for them. At the same time, it was to create shadows because it's very warm in Damascus in the summer. And they were asking why they raised the beautiful trees. At least, okay, I mean, you can raise the houses in a dictator way. We can understand you want to raise the houses to punish the people. Oh, okay. But why you want to raise the orchards, the trees? They raise the trees to bring some palm trees, and American palm trees, not even Syrian or Moroccan, American palm trees. On the website of the architecture company, they say that it's more beautiful, with maybe this cliche of California, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I think it's trees for tourists. So I think they raised the trees just to punish the people because, of course, the regime, they knew that the people are very close of these orchards.
There's a striking scene where Basima walks through a home mapped out with tape on a warehouse floor.
كان بيتنا حلو كتير. كان عبارة عن طابق أرضي وسطحه كانت المطرة لما تنزل يدلف علينا مي.
That sequence felt to me like a physical manifestation or even a ritual of ecological grieving, trying to find the root of a home when the ground has been razed and stolen. How did that process of recreating the vanished floor plan help Basima access that connection in ways that moved beyond a literal retelling towards a more imaginative retelling of the story of her home?
It was an important day when we shoot this scene because it was not that easy to ask her to draw the map of her house. As I just said before, I didn't want to remake the house in 3D animation. And at the same time, of course, it's important to try to show the house. That's why I asked her if she wants just to draw some lines to imagine the scale, the walls. To me, it's more interesting was to draw the house on the floor, like Dogville of Lars von Trier, this kind of aesthetic. Even during the shooting, it was more interesting for her because it helps to emerge some memories about the house. And of course, there is links between the roots of the trees and the foundation of the house, the walls, and of course the memories. And the memories, it's kind of roots. We can't see anything, but it's still here in your head. And so I try to play with this connection between the house and the trees. And in the film, before and just after this scene, we can see like a very low quality of a video. She filmed few months before they raised the house, and the video it's just her in the backyard, the garden, and she's filming the trees. At the same time, you have to use your imagination when you see this video because it's with a big pixel. So I thought, okay, we have pixel videos, the only archives of the house. It's more interesting to use the imagination of the spectator.
It's interesting that you mentioned Dogville by Lars von Trier. That film actually came to mind as I was watching Al-Basateen. Not only this sequence, but because of the theme of wickedness destroying a community, and we all know that community is at the heart of ecology. In your film, we see graffiti that says, "Empty cities don't breathe." To me, this suggests that a city's ecosystem isn't just its glass and concrete or its so-called smart infrastructure, but the collective breath of its people. I imagined your film as a lifeline to keep the city breathing, even as the physical land is being choked by militarized development. How did this metaphor of breathing and other metaphors conveyed specifically in the graffiti that you referenced earlier guide you as you made the film?
When I did like an interview with Dunya, she's in the film, so there is two women in the film, Basima and Dunya. She was talking about the link between the trees, and she said it brings a lot of oxygen, and not like the palm trees. So yeah, this graffiti is very important. If you remove the orchards, you can't breathe, I mean, physically. And if you remove the people, there is no life in the neighborhood. Basima, she said in the film, this connected, fancy city, it's not for us because first, they don't want to live in those buildings, even if they can. Second, they can't because if they come back, now they can. But before, during Assad regime, if they come back, they will be in jail. And of course, because it's too expensive. It's a kind of gentrification. And it's what happened in London, New York, in Paris. It's too expensive and it removed the poor people out of the city. So I think it's one of the most important graffiti. And the other important graffiti, it's the graffiti, we will come back. And when Assad left, it was the last day of the sound editing.
What was that like for you when you were finishing the film on the same day that the al-Assad regime left?
It was very, very weird because I worked 5 years on the film. And the last day it happened. For a few minutes, I thought, no, it's not possible, or it's weird, or maybe I'm dreaming. And of course, I was very happy because, I don't know, I remember that I felt that maybe this film got some magic. It's a magical film. I thought after maybe we can make a film about other dictator. Next film about Khamenei on Iran film. So when we finish the film, the dictator will be done. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, if you're looking for another dictatorship to overthrow with your magical films, come visit us and maybe we can find one for you. Without giving too much away, when I'm watching the very moving final sequence, the word propaganda comes to mind. Interestingly, the word has some very ecological connotations and connections to plants and trees specifically. It's rooted in the Latin propagare, to propagate. You talked earlier about using the 3D animations of the so-called powerful people against them. Please share more about how your thinking around propaganda shifted and evolved as you made al-Basateen.
It's real 3D animation made by architecture companies, blah, blah, blah. We can say it's not propaganda because it's just they are making a new urbanism. But that's why I was thinking it's very dirty because at the same time, it's a propaganda targeted against the Syrians. Before, it was little houses for people who used to live there for a few centuries. It's still about economy. They want to make money. They want to bring the tourism in Damascus. And so they use the 3D animation because it's beautiful, it's nice, with a lot of camera movements. But of course, it's very kitsch. But like I said before, even in Paris, with the Haussmannian architecture, we had the same. We didn't have, of course, the 3D animation, but we had a revolution in 1870 and the people in the street. It was very tiny, very thin streets. So it was easier to make a revolution because the police, it was difficult for them to kill people. And so they raised the whole Paris to make a large avenue, boulevard to control people. But I was thinking about this, the link between propaganda, dictator, and architecture. And that's why this film, it's about ecology. They removed the trees because the people, during the strike, the protestation, they hide themselves in the orchards because they knew, of course, the path, the streets, everything, because they live there. And the soldiers, they couldn't find them. And so the idea of the regime was, let's raise everything. Let's have some palm trees because to hide between palm trees, it's difficult, of course. And it was always about to control people. And we can see that in the propaganda, in the 3D animation. Everything is quiet. Everything is clean. It's perfect for a dictator. people, they just shut the fuck up. Everything is okay, like in Matrix. Everything is under control.
It's definitely interesting to consider the links between propaganda, totalitarianism, and architecture, and how it's part of a very old strategy. Speaking of propaganda, did you ever get a sense while you were making Basateen that you were making counter-propaganda, repurposing the regime's cold technology to make more humanistic and even ecological propaganda?
I mean, we tried. And that's why we used Unreal Engine software, because I thought it interesting to use a video game software to try to hijack the propaganda. I think we try to answer your question with the last scene, not just show, of course, the buildings, but show the graffiti of the revolution and the trees coming back. But still, it's 3D animation, still it's cold technology. But that was the statement. I think that it's possible to use cold technology and to make another story, because the question for the Syrian was, okay, the problem of the propaganda, it's they create another story. It's not our story. How we can show, share, create our story?
لا بد للقيد أن ينكسر.
هاي مشان نضل نحكي عن معتقلين. والله ليكي حتى يعني كل اللي بقيان تحسيهم معتقلين حتى لو ما لهم بالشؤون.
الشعب ما عاد قدر لا يحكي ولا يشكي.
At the festival this year, we have a few films related to AI. It makes me think about how much fear there is around AI and how, while there's obviously a lot of resistance to this new technology, some filmmakers and artists are saying that while those fears and concerns are justified, we also need to remember that if the people don't know how to use and even create those tools, then those technologies are sure to be used for oppressive purposes.
But there is a problem with AI because it uses a lot of energy. Just a prompt how to find a supermarket close to my place, like this very shitty prompt. It will use, I don't know how many liters of water and a lot of energy. And so if you want to make a film with AI, of course, when we did the 3D animation, you need energy because your computer needs a lot of energy, but it's totally different with AI. So in an ecological point of view, even if you use AI with a very ethical, political statement, you will use a lot of energy at the same time. So with AI, it's very shitty technologies for the for the Earth.
Right. It's definitely important to remain conscious of the ecological impacts of every technology, including AI. And I agree that cinema should not be exempt from that consideration. Antoine, can you please update us on what's happening with the land and people of Basateen?
Basima and Anas, they are still in Germany and in France, not that far in that Paris. They can come back in Marota City, but there is nothing to see. Just after Berlinale, Mahmoud, who worked on the film, and he shared with me a decree to say that the people who used to live in Basateen al-Razi, they can live in Marota City if they want. Because with Assad, of course, they couldn't come. And the decree said that they can have a flat in the towers, in the buildings, for free, I think. But when I shared this text in Arabic to Basima, she told me, yeah, but I don't want to live there.
This brings to mind an interesting aspect of ecology that a lot of people are starting to wrestle with now, even though indigenous people all over the world have been living with this reality for centuries. This feeling of nostalgia and longing for a world that no longer exists. It's interesting to think of the paradox that sometimes the longing can be even stronger when you're in the place, but the essence of the place is gone. How that can be even more painful than being away from the place. Your film is an excellent example of how a participatory filmmaking approach can help us reimagine and even reclaim the future to some extent in that regard.
هلا بدك تشوف شغلة تتلمض.
شو هي؟
حزاب.
هي ليمونة.
ما تلمضت؟
حمضه كتير قاسي.
شوف لما بدي ساوي سلطة أو تبولة ابعت الأولاد يتسابقوا ويقطفوا لي منها.
Antoine, can you please share a few questions for people to consider after they watch Basateen?
One question would be, what did you feel during the film? not a political question. Just what did you feel during the film? The other question could be if now they know more about the Syrian revolution. And the last question could be if it can help to see that it happens in many cities, not just in Syria. It's Assad, the dictator, did that, but it's everywhere in the world to remove people and to bring some fancy projects.
Finally, please share your favorite ecological films as defined by you and why you love them.
I have one. It's an important and beautiful film. Taming the Garden. For the first 30 minutes, we don't really understand what happened, but we see guys unrooting big and old trees. They are doing one tree, another tree, and step by step we understand what happened. It's a very beautiful film, Taming the Garden.
Earlier, you mentioned that while you're not Syrian, you were called to make a film about the Syrian people and the Syrian revolution. You also mentioned that there are films made by Syrians about the revolution. I wonder if you can recommend one or two favorites.
One, it's a still recording, and so it's made by a Syrian during the revolution. It's a very important film. Another film, it's not about the Syrian revolution, but it's about the Syrians refugees in Lebanon who work in the building industry. And it's made by a Syrian too. It's Taste of Cement. It's a very beautiful film. And to try to answer your question about ecological film, I was thinking, of course, what happened in Cisjordania, in Palestine, in Gaza, because what happened in Basateen, it's exactly what happened in Cisjordania to bring some trucks and to remove the trees and to destroy the houses. And it's what Basima told me many times. She said, what happened to us, it's what happened there for a few decades. I'm thinking of this film, it's Al-Bayt in Arabic, so it means the house, by Amos Gitai, the Israeli filmmaker. It's about colonialism. Yeah, he's talking with the Israeli people who ask Palestinians to leave the house, and after that, they live in the house.
Antoine Chapon, thank you for making Al-Basateen, The Orchards, for sharing it with us, and for all the good you do in the world.
Thank you very much, and I hope so the people, they will enjoy the film, and let me know what you think about the last scene.
If you haven't seen Al-Basateen, directed by Antoine Chapon, I hope you'll find the opportunity. If you have seen it, I hope you'll talk about it with your friends, family, and strangers. Taming the Garden, directed by Salome Jashi, is available to rent at the world's best video store, Movie Madness, in Portland, Oregon. The 2026 Portland Eco Film Festival is sponsored by Cragg Law Center and Solve. We are a signature program of the Hollywood Theater, Portland, Oregon's premier modern historic movie palace. Learn more at portlandecofilmfest.org and hollywoodtheater.org. Our theme music is from the song Earth Worship by the amazing band Rubble Bucket. Our Global Ecological Cinema podcast is hosted, edited, and produced by myself, Rosel Medina. We'll be back every week through June with more conversations about fascinating intersections of ecology, cinema, and filmmaking. Thanks for listening and for all the good you do in the world.
I feel like I'm collapsing into myself, yourself, myself, yourself, myself. I would like us to break up.